Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Fizzle's. I can't even say it right. Fizzle's Film Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about a classic that a lot of you probably have seen, and it's Gremlins. And I actually only saw this recently. I saw it actually back around Halloween, a couple months ago. And yeah, oddly enough, it is a Christmas movie. It's about a kid getting this mogwai or this monster thing as a pet from his oblivious dad who doesn't understand how dangerous it is to own a monster as a pet. He bought it from this Chinese shop. There's a bit of a mystery to it, but there's 3 rules. You don't feed them after midnight, you don't let them get wet, and you keep them away from light, because light will kill them. It starts off as a mystery as to what the other 2 will do, but I think it's pretty predictable in a way, and it is an older movie, so I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna spoil this one in the review, guys. Just warning you right now. Anyways, they name this pet Gizmo. And all around, this is a fun movie. I'll just say that right now. Honestly, I don't think there really is all that much to say about this movie. It's just a lot of general things about it are done well. There's a lot of really good practical effects. Actually, I'm gonna start off with this scene at the start that kind of gets me, where his dog's attacking this old hag. Who's just a complete jerk throughout the whole movie. But this kid, our main hero here, he just comes off as a complete moron. Like, he doesn't understand, like, he can't even comprehend, like, why she's annoyed, it seems. And she's, like, just already at 11 in terms of furiousness. But anyways, yeah, crazy lady wants to murder his dog. Oh well. Let's move on. He's got a new pet after all. Of course it gets wet, it multiplies. The gremlins are quite clever. Of course our hero can't be that stupid to just, pour a pitcher of water over them and then feed them at like 2 a.m. or something like that. But they do trick him. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed. I think they broke his clock, so it doesn't tick anymore. So it says it's 11, but it's really like past midnight, so he lets them eat the food. Mogwai, of course. Why do I keep calling Mogwai? Mogwai is a species. I'm so dumb. A Gizmo rather, refuses to eat the food. And it causes the ones who do eat after midnight to go into this gestation period, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm getting that word wrong, which would be sad because of my biology major, but oh well. Anyways, the other ones turn into these horrible monster creatures after the transformation. And then they start wreaking havoc. They're just completely uncontrollable. They end up killing a couple people. They end up escaping and just wreaking havoc on the whole town. They stop by the bar and harass the bartender lady. They're just drinking, playing poker, shooting each other, shooting randomly, like aimlessly, trying to shoot at her. And it's just like these creatures. They're not nice, but in a way, they're also not that intimidating. They're like, you don't feel, well, I don't feel scared. Like, this is obviously made for, like, younger audiences. Like, I'm a bit old to be watching this one now. I'm a bit older than the target audience, I think. But it's still a very enjoyable movie, all the same. People, like, I think people found it actually really intense. Maybe I'm just desensitized to horror, really. Because I found it to be like 90% comedy and 10% horror. I didn't find it scary at all. Like, it had some creepy imagery, don't get me wrong. Like, I think it should have been a PG-13 movie. But the PG-13 rating came out like after this. This film actually provoked the introduction of the PG-13 rating. Like there's two scenes in particular. The first one being the microwave scene where the lady microwaves the gremlin and it just explodes into guts along the door of the microwave. That's a fun scene where they're fighting and she's trying to murder this creature while it's trying to murder her. Krampus is a modern movie that's actually very similar to this in a way, but I'll talk about that some other day. The puppetry's really well done, and it's kind of a product of its time in a good way. Like nowadays, 90% of the time it seems like we rely on CGI, and CGI has gotten quite good, but there's like some sort of the human element to the puppetry and how it looks fake kind of, but it's still moving in a reasonable way. It's a combination of being impressive for the effort that has to go into making that look good or look acceptable even at times. It also adds to the cheesiness of the movie, adds to the humor a bit too. That works really well because it's kind of Team America World Police is a good example of that, where it's just like a completely preposterous, ridiculous movie, all involving puppets. That's the whole like selling point of the movie. The MPAA rating even states that, like, oh, extreme violence and sex, all involving puppets. So that's a bit of a selling point, even in like modern day movies, but not nearly so often nowadays. I think it's a bit of a risk factor. Like, you have to worry about audiences nowadays being like, oh, it's a dumb puppet movie. Whereas back then, people could have fun with it, but people nowadays are just so, like, cynical about this sort of thing. And yet we have just, like, the worst trite nowadays as well.
Cyberbully is the first movie I've ever rated dumb out of 10.
Very fun movie. It's very nice to watch these horrible little creatures do horrible things to people, and then get their comeuppance and get like completely obliterated and blown up and killed left and right. It's really quite brutal actually, but it's in a really comical, over the top way where I think this movie's fine for kids. Even with people complaining like, oh, it should have been a higher rating. You know, it's way too violent for a PG movie. I think it's fine for kids all around. There's really, the microwave scene is like the only actual scene I'd say is like too intense. But it's just one scene, honestly, one moment in a movie. I don't think that's enough to really consider it like, oh, that's too far. Because I don't think it really resonates all that much. And honestly, I watched Jaws recently too. I found that to be a way more intense PG movie. Like, I found that to be one of the most violent movies I've actually ever seen, and it was PG. I don't think that one provoked the PG-13 rating, really. Yeah, this is much more tame in comparison. Much less horrifying, too. Very funny as well. I really wish I saw this as a kid. Like, I don't know how I missed this one as a kid. I guess my parents never got into the Gremlins movies. Guess they never saw it, but yeah, very good. Very, 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 very good. There's a new one coming out. I'm kind of worried about that, though.
Taking my sugar lumps. I wanted to try those. But, Father, and for that, I, in the name of my father and his father before, I open our father, cast you out.
You know? What, like, I hope it's not CGI. I hope they go back to doing puppets. It'd be nice to see a dumb puppet movie again. Right, guys? I can't be the only one stuck in the past here.